Part 49. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 481. Boom. 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 The scene, like a war of the epoch, continued to burst out, the universe shook, the galaxy reversed, and this ancient battlefield finally couldn't hold on, and continued to break into pieces of drifting and dead places in the starry sky. After several battles with Prajna, the slave soul master's eyes clearly showed a dignified look, and his breath gradually began to weaken. He could clearly feel that Prajna's strength was even stronger than those old bald donkeys at this moment. Not only that, he seemed to be immortal. Just when Prajna was about to launch another attack, he heard a calm voice. Boring scene. In an instant, all the visions and all the moves disappeared. It seemed to have returned to the beginning. Who? Prajna suddenly felt an ominous feeling in his heart. After a moment, Li Bai slowly appeared. Master. Woo, Master, Xuanhuan was beaten so badly by this dead bald donkey. Master Bai. At this moment, after seeing Li Bai, Prajna had a moment of downtime, and then seemed to think of something, and said slowly and without fear. Who did I think it was? It turned out to be the White Emperor. No wonder the slave soul master said that I couldn't afford to offend them. Well, indeed, the identity of Li Bai's apprentice is really scary. Hearing this, Xuanhuan widened his dog eyes and unconsciously gave Prajna a thumbs up in his heart. Awesome, I have never seen such an awesome person. Indeed, he remained so calm in front of the adults, and even said sarcastic words, which is really awesome. I would like to crown him as the most awesome person in the heavens and the worlds. However, Li Bai never looked at Prajna from beginning to end, but just stared at the void behind Prajna. Finally, 10 seconds later, Li Bai said calmly. Come in. After that, Li Bai waved his hand and immediately blocked this space. Li Bai, didn't you hear me? Prajna saw that she was like an ant and shouted angrily. Then, Li Bai just lightly touched him, and in an instant, a force that Prajna could not imagine directly imprisoned all of him. At this moment, he seemed like a puppet, unable to speak or move, and could only watch and listen to everything around him. However, gradually, Prajna felt that his mind seemed to have entered a hole, and he could no longer perceive anything. Why do you want me to find you out myself? Li Bai said calmly to the void in front of him. After hearing this, Nanyi and others fell into confusion. Is there any living being hiding here? It should be, but the other party should be very powerful, at least a creator, or even, a master. After all, even Prajna and I didn't feel it. The slave soul master said calmly. However, after a long time, there was no fluctuation in the void, but Li Bai still clearly felt a very slight change. Well, in this case, I have to do it myself. Just as Li Bai was about to make a move, the next moment, the void in front of them kept fluctuating, and then three figures slowly walked out, with resentment and confusion on their faces. Sure enough, three creators. The slave soul master said solemnly. Damn, they are not creatures from the 10,000 worlds. Hiss, if they are not creatures from the 10,000 worlds, how did they get in? The three creators entered the 10,000 worlds, what a big conspiracy. Li Bai smiled and said after seeing these creators. I really thought you needed me to invite you out in person. Creatures from the End Realm. Hearing the three words End Realm, Nanyi and others were puzzled. End Realm. Such a strange name. Is it from the world outside the 10,000 worlds? You are talking nonsense. End Realm, I seem to have some memories through the evil thoughts of a great emperor at that time. It seems to be an origin realm, and it is much stronger than the 10,000 worlds. Not only that, it also gave birth to the originator. The slave soul master said slowly. But why did they come to the 10,000 worlds, and how did they get in? Just watch quietly, there are adults here anyway, what are you afraid of? Then, the three creators stared at Li Bai for a long time before asking. Li Bai, did you know we would come here? Of course, otherwise why would I show up? Li Bai replied calmly. Haha, you are worthy of being Li Bai, you can kill us or cut us up, we admit defeat, but if you want to know something from us, don't dream. I know, because the originator has shackled your memory, right? Li Bai said slowly without surprise. After hearing this, the three people's eyes fluctuated slightly, but they didn't speak. Let me guess your purpose. In fact, you or your acquired originator do not want to devour the 10,000 worlds, but for some reasons, you have to do so. As for the reason, I think it should be my reincarnation experiment in the 10,000 worlds. They don't want me to succeed, but they can't do it themselves, so they can only let the acquired originator of your end world plan, right? And the purpose of your coming in is also very simple, to hunt down living beings, first the living beings in the fairyland, then the living beings around me, and finally the rest of the living beings in the heavens and the worlds. And the reason why you can quietly pass through the barriers of the heavens and the worlds and enter the road to the worlds should be because of that thing. Li Bai smiled at the three creators in front of him. Sure enough, after hearing these words, they could no longer remain silent, their eyes trembled violently, at this moment they felt like they were naked in front of Li Bai, and any secrets appeared in Li Bai's eyes. Although they also knew that Li Bai was terrible, why could such a secret be told in detail, as if he was in the palace at that time? How did you know that? And how did you know about us devouring the origin world? A creator said with a dead look on his face. To be honest, if it weren't for Xuanhuan, I might not have guessed it. But since I know all these secrets of yours, it's easy to infer it. Xuanhuan. You met her. I was wondering, how could you know our plan in such detail? But Xuanhuan, we can't find her no matter what. If it weren't for Xuanhuan, maybe our plan would succeed. A creator gritted his teeth and said angrily. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 482. Hearing this sentence, Li Bai showed an intriguing expression on his face. Haha, you think too highly of yourselves. Even if I don't discover your conspiracy, there is absolutely no way you can succeed. Because they never thought about success in the first place, you are just a smoke bomb they put out. If my guess is correct, they have now begun plans for me and the reincarnation experiment. And the place where this plan is implemented is within the heavens and the world, and it just so happens that it is him. Of course, you don't know this. Li Bai said lightly, and then pointed to Prajna who was in deathly silence beside him. That's right, it's this evil Buddha. I think he has placed something on every road now, and you will never expect this thing. Li Bai said slowly. What? The three creators were suddenly stunned and asked in confusion. Li Bai did not answer immediately, but walked straight to Prajna, and then slowly stretched out his right hand. In an instant, Li Bai's right hand seemed to have passed through a black hole, directly entering Prajna's body. In the astonished eyes of everyone, Li Bai seemed to be constantly searching for something. After a few minutes, a glint of light flashed in Li Bai's eyes. Found it? Immediately, Li Bai slowly withdrew his right hand, opened his palm, and saw a stone with black luster slowly appearing in everyone's sight. This stone seemed ordinary, just like obsidian, but at the moment it appeared, everyone felt a wisp of extreme destruction, as if the ultimate disaster was about to come. Master, what is this? Nanyi took the stone and asked with great curiosity. Destroy the boundary stone. Li Bai said lightly. Destroy the boundary stone. Suddenly the three creators were stunned and said in astonishment, with a look of deep fear in their eyes. Destroy the boundary stone. Master, what is this? Nanyi asked slowly while fiddling with the stone in his hand. The destruction boundary stone is a product born together with Teishu. Similar to the light of Teishu, this stone can kill thousands of creators or hundreds of rulers. Even if it is used well, it can kill thousands of creators or hundreds of masters. It can cause a lot of harm to an originator. Hearing Li Bai's words, Nanyi froze instantly, holding the stone in his hand carefully, for fear that it would explode if he was not careful. De Wang and others also changed their expressions upon hearing this, fear gradually creeping onto their faces. Damn it, this is too scary. If it explodes, wouldn't it mean that the entire immortal realm is probably gone? Not to mention the immortal realm, it is estimated that the entire heavens and worlds are gone. It can directly kill thousands of creators. I can't imagine how terrifying this kind of explosion would be, let alone hurt an originator. I finally understand why that evil Buddha is not afraid of adults. It turns out it's because of this. The slave soul master said slowly. However, this is not the main use of this stone, but as the formation I activation. Array. Master, what kind of formation needs this kind of thing? It's very simple, Teishu formation. A formation that is not weaker than the one I gave to the immortal realm. Li Bai said with a smile. In an instant, Nanyi seemed to have figured out something, frowned, and said coldly, Master, so, they want to detonate the formation and directly destroy all the heavens and worlds to stop them? Your experiment. In an instant, these words sounded the alarm in everyone's heart. Yes, this is probably the last one. As long as it is placed on this road, those guys will activate it when the time is right. By then, all the creatures on the road to all realms will be destroyed, as well as the entire world. Tianwanja may also be reduced to ruins. Li Bai said lightly. I didn't expect that in order to stop Master's reincarnation experiment, they would be so frantic. This is an entire world of origin, and I don't know how many creatures it contains. Nanyi said harshly. Then, Li Bai turned to look at these three kinds of creators. Now, you understand what I said before. You are just a cover-up, but you are in it and don't know it. Li Bai, I'm very curious, how do you know all this? How do you know that this evil Buddha will definitely appear on this road? Also, aren't you afraid that this evil Buddha placed the destruction stone the moment he stepped into it? A creator felt an unprecedented haze envelope them, as if any conspiracy could surface in front of Li Bai. They underestimated me too much, and they underestimated this evil Buddha too much. This evil Buddha couldn't restrain his greed for little spirits, so he forgot to place the destruction boundary stone when he entered this path. As for how I know it, it's very simple. I already knew it when you entered the world. The things they give you may be able to block other people, but it definitely does not include me. You don't understand it at all. How could my hard work in all the worlds be so easily defeated by you? What's more, do you really think that there is no spy from me around you and them? If this is really the case, I, Li Bai, have lived so long in vain. Li Bai looked at the three of them and said slowly, his tone full of certainty, as if he knew everything about it. Li Bai, you are so scary. Being your opponent is definitely the greatest misfortune. We don't want to talk nonsense. Just a request, let us understand ourselves. After hearing these words, these three creators completely lost the idea of resistance. They were wrong from the beginning. Although they had a high regard for Li Bai, they were eventually dragged into the endless abyss by their own stupidity. Ken. Li Bai nodded and said, he would usually be satisfied with the persuasion of a dying person. After finishing speaking, under the gaze of Nanyi and others, these three creators gently ended everything they had, and died without any fluctuation, just like an ant being crushed. Master, what should I do with this stone? Nanyi looked at the destruction boundary stone in his hand and asked slowly. Of course we will continue to let this evil Buddha be placed in the center of the formation. After finishing speaking, Li Bai directly put the stone back to its original place. Ah, Master, why, this? I need to use the trick and let them activate the formation to find their specific location. They want to plot against me, why don't I want to plot against them? But, what if it really explodes? Nanyi asked worriedly. Don't worry, I have a solution. You follow me and hide first. It's the master. Okay, sir. Then, Li Bai waved his hand, and in an instant, Nanyi and others directly entered a space isolated by Li Bai. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, Met the Empress's Apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 483. Master, what should we do with him? Nanyi pointed at Prajna, who looked like a dead person. Just look down patiently. After saying that, Li Bai pointed at Prajna lightly. The latter slowly opened his eyes in an instant, looking at everything in front of him in confusion. Where am I? Oh, by the way, this is the last road. I need to quickly set up the formation. After saying that, Prajna took out the destruction boundary stone, and then, muttering obscure words, his hands kept making seals and hitting this road. Enter. After a long time, Prajna shouted softly, and in an instant, the destruction boundary stone disappeared without a trace. At this moment, all the creatures in the heavens and the world suddenly had a thought of imminent death in their hearts, and some creatures didn't even have time to notice it. Finally done. The heavens and the worlds are finally going to be destroyed. But, I always feel like I've forgotten something. Prajna then whispered. The void looked at all this, Nanyi and others, and asked unconsciously. Master, his memory. Yes, this memory has been taken away by me. Then are they going to? Don't worry, not for the time being, they need to wait until a perfect time point. Perfect time point. The road to the world's ends. Li Bai said slowly. The road to the world's ends. But, why choose such a time point? There are obviously many creatures in the road to the worlds now. Nanyi asked curiously. Because, me. Okay, you don't need to understand these, now it's time to deal with this ant. After that, Li Bai and others slowly appeared in front of Prajna. Who are you? Prajna was surprised to see Li Bai and others who suddenly appeared. It's time to return your memory. After saying this, Prajna's mind instantly recalled the previous scenes. Li Bai, what on earth did you do to me? Prajna roared, this time her tone was full of fear. Oh, what, are you scared? Hee hee, I've said it before, others will be scared, but I won't be scared. Prajna laughed wantonly. Really? Then die. After saying this, Li Bai put his fingers together as a sword and gently slashed at Prajna. In an instant, the dazzling light dispelled all the haze, and a sword light that seemed to be able to cut off everything passed directly through the middle of Prajna's body. However, something happened that shocked Nanyi and others. Seeing that Prajna's body, under the blessing of a stream of mysterious power, actually began to heal directly. Hee hee, Li Bai, I said, you can't kill me. Believe it now. Prajna said extremely arrogantly. What kind of monster is this? It actually survived the master's sword. Damn, I'm dazzled, could this old bald donkey be an originator? Li Bai said expressionlessly. Do you really think that becoming their follower and gaining a ray of origin power can really make you immortal? Oh, it seems that you already know. Prajna's eyes suddenly tightened, and then she thought of something and said calmly. The breath they left on you is too obvious. Haha, since you already know, why don't you let me go? Anyway, You can't kill me. Why bother, wasting each other's time? Prajna said slowly. Although Li Bai couldn't kill him, the fear and pain brought to him by the sword just now were a shadow he would never forget in his life. Well, if it were me at the beginning, there would be no way to kill you. But, it's different now. Twilight candlelight. After Li Bai finished speaking, he waved his hand, and in an instant, a twilight appeared like a maggot, constantly gnawing at Prajna's body. Then, the most horrifying scene appeared. I saw that the mysterious power was swallowed up by the twilight just as it appeared. At this moment, he finally panicked. No. No, how is this possible? Absolutely impossible. I have obtained the blessing of the innate originator. Li Bai, what on earth did you do? Didn't they say? Prajna felt her body gradually disappearing, and said with a distorted face, but the last sentence stopped abruptly. What did they say? You won't say that I am also an originator. Actually, this sentence is also true, they did not lie to you. Unfortunately, since my memory fragments were found, everything is different. Do you think that you can walk freely in this era by becoming their follower? Little do you know, in their eyes, you are just a puppet used to place and perfect the formation. By the way, I forgot to tell you that during the time when you were trapped in the void, I took the destruction boundary stone out of your body and put it back. Li Bai seemed to be talking to Prajna, but it didn't seem to be. Hearing these words, Prajna's heart was instantly broken, and a terrifying thought gradually emerged. Their plan had been known by Li Bai, and he couldn't understand why Li Bai knew that the destruction boundary stone was in his body. How could you? However, before he could say anything, the dusk had completely swallowed it and fell. Prajna could only disappear completely in this era with reluctance. Dusk candlelight, it's really useful to deal with them. Li Bai sighed. Sure enough, it's more interesting to follow the master. De Huang sighed after watching all these scenes. Yes, it's still by the master's side that we have the opportunity to witness these secrets that we can't touch. Okay, this matter has come to an end for the time being. Now it's time to talk about your business, Xiaoling. Li Bai turned his head and looked at the slave soul master and asked. My lord, do you want to know why I suddenly appeared to find you? The slave soul master said lightly. Yes, indeed. Actually, the main reason I came to find you is that someone asked me to give you this thing. After saying that, the slave soul master slowly took out the strange feather from his body and handed it to Li Bai. What is this thing? A feather. It looks pretty. When the feather appeared, Li Bai was immediately distracted, and then just stared at the feather in his hand, with a complex look of regret, pain, etc. flashing in his eyes from time to time. Master, what's wrong? De Huang asked curiously. This is the first time I've seen Master so distracted. It seems that this feather should be very important to Master. Nanyi said seriously. She could even feel that Li Bai seemed to have lost his composure for a moment, as if he had seen something that was most important to him. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 484. Gradually, in Li Bai's mind, a series of memories were gradually outlined. At the same time, this feather seemed to be constantly shining, and a ray of extremely bright light was reflected from each strand of feather. This feather, why do I feel so familiar with it, just like? It's as if we have been in this feather, right? The Grass Emperor said seriously. Yes, to be precise, this feather seems to have, our reincarnation from generation to generation. This feeling always feels very strange. Not only that, I seem to be able to feel that Master has 1,000 threads of connection with this feather. Nanyi looked at the strange feather in front of him and said slowly. After a long time, Li Bai's eyes flashed with extremely complex emotions, and he slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air and said. Who gave you this feather? My lord, before that, I want to ask you a question, I wonder if you can answer me. The slave soul master then asked slowly. Speak. Why did you save me? The slave soul master said nervously, afraid of hearing some desperate answers. You want to know your life experience. Li Bai took a look at the slave soul master and guessed what he was thinking. Yes, sir, I have always wanted to know. The reason I asked you is because the person who trimmed the feather for me said that when you see this feather, you will tell me everything about me, including my true life experience. Once, I thought that I was an evil thought body born with the heavens and the worlds. Until that conversation, I have been looking for an opportunity to see you again. The slave soul master said hesitantly. He was naturally unsure whether Li Bai could really tell him, but in any case, this feather must be given to Li Bai. Have you ever thought about why you can devour all the evil thoughts of the creatures in the heavens and the worlds, and even enslave creatures with higher realms than you? To know this, even those masters can't do it. Li Bai looked into the eyes of the slave soul master and asked slowly. This, sir, to be honest, I have always thought that it was the special nature of my birth, the special nature of being born with all the heavens and the worlds. So, I can devour the evil thoughts of all the heavens and the worlds. The slave soul master said slowly. Hearing this, Li Bai slowly smiled and said. If that's the case, why can only you devour the evil thoughts of all the heavens and the worlds? There are more than just you who were born with all the heavens and the worlds. Hearing this, the slave soul master was stunned for a moment, and then, he seemed to, gradually understand the meaning of Li Bai's words, and a terrifying thought gradually echoed in his mind. Sir, are you saying that I am an evil thought? The slave soul master looked at Li Bai and said in astonishment. Yes, you guessed it right. Impossible, how could this be possible? How could I be an evil thought? If that's the case, whose evil thought am I? Why don't I have any memory at all? The eyes of the slave soul master gradually lost their light, as if he had lost himself. Because, you are the evil thought of the originator. Li Bai's subsequent words were so shocking that the slave soul master, Nan Yi, and others were completely shocked. When this sentence reached everyone's ears, in an instant, whether it was the slave soul master, Nan Yi, and others, the blood in their bodies seemed to freeze, and a blank appeared in their minds. Master just said, what, the evil thought of the originator? Nan Yi's face turned pale without the slightest blood color. Can the originator also have evil thoughts? This answer is too scary, the evil thoughts of the innate originator, I dare not imagine how powerful they are. The slave soul master stared at Li Bai with lifeless eyes. How can I be the evil thoughts of the originator? Impossible, absolutely not, sir, you are lying to me, right? Of course I didn't lie to you, but you don't have to be so surprised, after all, it's just the acquired originator, not those innate originators. Of course, the innate originator will also have evil thoughts, but the conditions are extremely harsh. Afterwards, Li Bai talked about many things with the slave soul master. And the slave soul master gradually figured out his identity in these things. So that's it, haha, no wonder I can devour the evil thoughts of the heavens and the worlds, it turns out that this originator is from the heavens and the worlds. And Nan Yi thought of something and asked with great confusion. Master, I remember you once said that there has never been any acquired originator in the 10,000 worlds. What's going on here? It's very simple, because the father of this acquired originator came from another origin world, and the mother is from the 10,000 worlds. However, in the end, he gave up the 10,000 worlds, and Xiaoling was born before he gave up the breath of the 10,000 worlds. What's more, I killed him with my own hands in the Battle of Origin, so there has never been an originator in the 10,000 worlds. Li Bai said lightly. Sir, why do you want to kill him? The slave soul master asked in confusion. Because he is too greedy, he once tried to control something that does not belong to him. In fact, these are not the most important. The important thing is that he should not transfer his greedy desire to Xiaoqing and others. Li Bai said lightly. So that's it? Sir, can you tell me the identity of this acquired originator? This is my last request. The slave soul master said very seriously. Are you sure you want to know? Yes. In fact, you are all very familiar with this person, not only that, but also very familiar to the entire world. His name is Wu Bai, and you call him, the immortal emperor of the sky. Suddenly, Nanyi and others were filled with horror in their eyes. It turned out to be, him, the great emperor who is known as the savior of the heavens and the worlds, and even better than him. Damn, how could it be him? He is the great emperor who has been on the eternal emperor list, and ranked among the top. This is simply too unimaginable. Then why don't you? The slave soul master stared at Li Bai blankly. You are you, he is him, although you are his evil thoughts, but, the moment you appeared, it was destined that the fate and cause and effect imposed on you were different. What's more, it can be regarded as my apology to Kantian. If I didn't tell him that place at the beginning, he might not have such a strong greed. Okay, now your life experience, everything about you, you also know it? Now it's time to answer my question. Who gave you this feather? Li Bai's expression looked extremely serious. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 485. Xuanhuan. The slave soul master said two words lightly. Xuanhuan. How, could it be him? When did you meet him? Li Bai asked hurriedly. This was the first time Nanyi saw her master. He looked so anxious, which opened her eyes. Later, the enslaved soul master mentioned a vague time point. Sir, I can't remember the real time. I just know that countless epochs have passed. It turns out that it was indeed the time before he went to calamity and destiny. I never expected, Xuanhuan, it was you who gave me this feather. Li Bai carefully stroked the feather in his hand, as if it was an extremely beloved thing. Master, what exactly is this feather? I always feel that I seem to be connected to this feather. Yes, Master, I have this intuition too. So are we. Because, this is the feather created by Xiaju. A faint look of longing flashed in Li Bai's eyes. Xiaju, sister. Nanyi exclaimed. Yes, this is the feather that Xiaju created during the time when I lost my memory. To be precise, this is, the prototype of the immortal realm. Li Bai looked at Nanyi and others and said slowly. The prototype of the fairyland. No wonder, I feel like my shadow is in this feather, now it's right. After all, the immortal realm was created by Sister Xiaju. Nanyi suddenly realized. Yes, this feather carries many memories of Xiaju and I. Moreover, that guy who was once a towering figure also tried to snatch this feather. Speaking of this, a smile appeared on Li Bai's cheek unconsciously, as if his Xiaju was standing right in front of him, still as gorgeous as ever. Oh, it seems that the master really loves Xiaoju. It's a pity. If this happens, wouldn't Sister Nanyi's plan to become a division master be ruined? De Wang looked at Nanyi, then at Li Bai, and realized that it was better to be a dog. Master, you must resurrect Sister Xiaju. She has done so much for you that no one can compare to. Nanyi said emotionally. Yes, she has done so much for me, and what have I done for her? I even used my own hands. Li Bai smiled to himself. This feather actually has no effect on you, but it is very important to me. It can always remind me of this memory and will not be worn away by time. Okay, let's get here first. I have other things to do. Xiaoling, just stay with Nanyi and the others and protect them by the way. Li Bai looked at everyone and said slowly. Okay, sir. Yes, master. After finishing speaking, Li Bai put away the feather, and his breath changed accordingly, returning to the Li Bai who was fearless before. By the way, there is no chance for this road anymore. Nan Yi, you go and explore other roads. Well, master, I understand. After finishing speaking, Li Bai's figure slowly disappeared into this space. At the same time, in a mysterious place extremely far away from all the worlds, the blurry figures of the three statues changed from an illusory state to an extremely realistic one. At the same time, these three figures exude an aura that is very similar to the origin of innate destiny. Prajna is dead. After a moment, one of the figures slowly muttered. Haha, if an ant dies, it dies. You stupid guy, really think that with the blessing of a ray of our power, we can control the entire era? Suddenly, the other two figures let out wanton laughter. But fortunately, this ant has completed its task and is somewhat effective. By the way, do you know who killed him? I don't know, don't forget whose territory belongs to all the worlds, how could I possibly enter? The voice of the leading figure seemed extremely heavy and vicissitudes of life. Not only that, this tone seemed to be able to wear away everything, including time itself. Actually, there is no need to be too suspicious at all. Who else in the entire universe can kill a creature with a ray of our power besides Li Bai? Yeah, who else could it be besides Li Bai? I just don't know if he has discovered my plan. Do you think that with Li Bai's ability, he will be able to discover the destruction boundary stone and the Taisha formation? It doesn't matter. Anyway, our original intention was to let Li Bai find out. I guess he must have done some tricks now. When we detonated the formation, he never positioned us. A figure said slowly, without any worry in his tone, as if he was deliberately letting Li Bai discover their plan. Yes, with Li Bai's character, he will definitely take advantage of his scheme. It just so happens that he wants to find us, and we also want to lead him to this place. By the way, is this thing really useful to him? The third figure said with a slightly worried tone. You can't kill Li Bai for sure. But, at least he can sleep for countless epochs, and then his reincarnation plan will naturally be shattered. Hee, I am really looking forward to Li Bai's arrival more and more. By the way, I suddenly thought of something. Has Li Bai really seen the seventh one? Then, a figure suddenly asked, his tone full of unrest. Since Li Bai decayed everything in himself at that time, it would not be for no reason. I can't really be sure whether he has seen the seventh one. The only thing that can be confirmed now is that he has seen two innate origins, one of which is the woman of innate destiny, and the other is unknown. The leading figure spoke in a calm tone, as if all this was still within the acceptable range. If he gets the pillar of creation, even if it's just a replica, it will be a tricky thing. Okay, for now, we just need to wait patiently. I believe that when Li Bai comes here, it will definitely be a big surprise. It's settled, so we can also find a way to overthrow the 7 statues. After all, Li Bai has learned many of our secrets through those so-called memory fragments. I don't believe he will remain indifferent. I hope everything is as we think. I always feel, there is a hint of weirdness in all these things. After collecting them, the 3 figures gradually disappeared in this mysterious place. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 486. Chaos leads to the ancient road to the underworld. At this moment, at the end of a road where this road forks, explosions are ringing throughout the starry sky. Various terrifying tricks and visions are emerging one after another, as if it is the war of the century. Blood and fire soaked the entire starry sky, and the corpses of countless geniuses and ancient starry beasts from all over the world were buried forever in this cold starry sky. Look, the ancient starry sky beast's lair has appeared. With the fall of each ancient starry sky beast, one of the lairs of this beast tide was finally exposed in front of the geniuses. A huge black hole in the void was directly exposed in front of countless creatures who came to hunt the ancient starry sky beasts. At this moment, this black hole in the void is constantly exuding wisps of terrifying aura, and not only that, but endless roars are coming from inside. This shouldn't be something we can enter, after all, this is one of the lairs of the starry sky ancient beast. What are you afraid of? Anyway, with the three major forces of the ancient city ahead, we only need to deal with those ancient starry sky beasts in the realm of god kings. Isn't this how the fights along the way happened? Those fallen geniuses only have to deal with them. It's so useless to blame yourself. That makes sense, but don't forget, this is a nest inside, and the number of ancient star beasts is definitely much greater than outside. Do the three major forces really have the same energy as before? Whatever, I have to enter anyway. All I need from Li is to hunt a few more ancient star beasts in exchange. I absolutely cannot miss this opportunity. At the same time, among the three major forces on the front line, the eyes of several great emperors became more and more fiery after seeing the nest appear. Finally, I met the lair of the ancient starry sky beast. Yes, the lair has never appeared in the previous beast tides. This time it has lived up to our expectations. It just so happens that we have longed for the lair. Immediately, a great emperor said to the dense crowd of creatures behind. Everyone, this beast tide is over here. Of course, you can also continue to choose whether to enter the lair in front of you. However, I want to remind you that after you enter, we will not provide any protection. Life or death depends on your luck. The three major forces, follow us into the lair. Yes. One after another, earth-shaking roars could be heard, making the entire starry sky tremble. Then, the figures of the three major forces were seen slowly disappearing into the black hole in the void. Sister Sui, what should we do? Should we go back to the ancient city directly, or follow them and continue deeper? Emperor Lin looked at Shui and asked slowly. What's your opinion? Immediately, Shui slowly looked at everyone. Of course I chose to enter, I haven't killed enough yet. Dugukaiubai exuded a terrifying edge of sword intent and said slowly. Oh, you have the same idea as me. You are indeed a swordsman. Emperor Lin said slowly. Shui, I also want to go in and take a look. Maybe the three great emperor arts and the secret technique are in here. Xuanhuan Minjiao stared at the black hole in the void in front of her and said solemnly. Where are you two? Shui looked at Mu-11 and Xuanhuan and asked slowly. It must be said that in the battle just now, the fighting power displayed by the two women was extremely terrifying, especially Xuanhuan. After performing the Tai's Hang ruthless surgery, even she herself also felt a lot of pressure. Not only that, Shui could also feel that Xuanhuan had many terrifying secrets that she had yet to reveal. I don't care, I listen to your opinions. Mu-11 said with a beautiful smile. In this case, let's go in and take a look together. Anyway, we all have the means to save our lives. What's more, it's time to deal with that disgusting guy in the darkness. Xuanhuan said coldly. That disgusting guy must be that Lu Su. Well, that's right. I have to say that he is really good at being a coward. Ever since he came here, he has been following us without taking any action. I don't know what he is planning. Okay, since everyone has the same opinion, let's go take a look. Shui nodded and said. Immediately, the six people turned into streams of light and directly entered the black hole in the void. At the same time, more and more geniuses are cautiously stepping into the black hole of the void with the mentality of giving it a try and turning their bicycles into motorcycles. Of course, there are also many geniuses who choose to abstain. After all, they have no confidence in their own strength. Still have a certain understanding. Young master, they have entered, do we want to enter too? A disciple beside Lu Su asked slowly. You must enter, otherwise how can you find a chance to kill them? Lu Su said sinisterly, the humiliation Xuanhuan and the others had brought to him would only become heavier and heavier as time went by, and he must avenge this. Brother Liu Su, what's wrong with you? At this moment, a man wearing stars and moon beside the willow tree frowned and asked. Brother Fenchen, I just met a few enemies, so I won't bother you to worry about it. Lu Su said with great respect. Oh, those are the ones just now, they seem to be the geniuses of the immortal realm and the eternal upper realm. The man named Fenchen said lightly, his realm has already stepped into the half-step eternity, in his view, Xuanhuan and others are just ants. After all, he himself is the epical prodigy of Luxianyu, and in the entire Luxianyu, almost everyone knows him, and everyone knows him. He himself is walking on the invincible road similar to the Emperor of Double Pupils, and Fenchen is indeed worthy of this invincible road. From his birth to now, he has never been defeated. In his eyes, the only ones who can be called opponents are the epical prodigy and the sons of the ancient races such as Emperor Su. Brother Fenchen, it is indeed as you said, 3 of them are from the immortal realm, and the other 3 are from the eternal upper realm. Lu Su said slowly. Don't worry, I will help you get revenge, just a group of ants. Fantian said contemptuously, after all, in Luxianyu, the Lu family has been following his family as cows and horses for generations, and Fenchen doesn't mind helping. Thank you, Brother Fenchen. Hearing this, Lu Su's eyes flashed with excitement. He believed that if Fenchen took action, Shui and others would die. No problem, after all, your sister is also my follower. Okay, stop talking nonsense, hurry in. After that, several people also entered the black hole of the void together. At this moment, Nan Yi and others only felt a dizzy moment, and immediately came to an extremely strange world. It was desolate and lifeless here. A touch of dusk in the sky continued to shine on the lifeless earth. It didn't look like the lair of the ancient star beast at all. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 487. Is this really the lair of the ancient star beast? Why is there no one around? Where are the people from the 3 major forces? Linda looked at the desolate surroundings and frowned. We haven't left the worlds, have we? Mu-11 looked around and held Xuanhuan's hand tightly, and said nervously. It shouldn't be, but even if we haven't left the worlds, we probably have almost reached the edge. At this moment, Xuanhuan Minjiao suddenly said. No, here, seems to be something hidden. I can feel a wisp of something similar to, something like a secret technique. Is this true or not, Minjiao? Don't lie to me, look at this place, there is no one here, how can there be a secret technique? Linda said in disbelief. This is just my intuition, I can't be sure. Just as several people were discussing fiercely, streams of light continued to fall to the ground, and then, in just a few minutes, a dense crowd of geniuses had gathered here. Damn, where is this place? I can't get here either, I opened my eyes and came here. Didn't we say that this is the lair of the ancient star beast? There is nothing here except us geniuses. Then, countless geniuses felt the desolate and dead atmosphere here, and they became nervous unconsciously. Just when the geniuses were at a loss, a strong wind suddenly blew in the distance, and then a sandstorm was formed with the yellow sand in the sky, like a wave of destruction. Suddenly, the sky of this world was directly covered by yellow sand. Then, this sandstorm attacked the geniuses directly. Ah! In an instant, some geniuses who happened to be at the outermost edge were crushed into blood foam by the sandstorm before they could resist. They screamed and wailed all over the field, and then disappeared in the sandstorm. Before the geniuses could react, vortices slowly appeared on the land under their feet. In an instant, hundreds of geniuses were swallowed by the vortex, and their lives and deaths were unknown. Run! Suddenly, a Tianjiao roared loudly. Instantly, countless Tianjiao used their most powerful body movements and kept running away, but they were destined to be disappointed. Let's go quickly, this kind of sandstorm cannot be stopped, even the quasi-emperor will be swallowed directly, without any resistance. Xuanhuan Minjiao's eyes were slightly cold, and he said hurriedly after seeing through everything. It's too late, look around. Linda pointed to the distance and said in panic. Seeing that around them, there were sandstorms running and roaring wantonly, directly surrounding all the Tianjiao, like a trapped beast fighting. What should we do? There are death sandstorms all around us. Woo, I was wrong, I shouldn't be greedy, I should go back to the ancient city directly. At the critical moment, an ancient and vicissitudes of life voice came from the void. Everyone, use the formation together, there may be a glimmer of hope, of course, it must be a formation above the 9th level of the God King. Who is talking? Get out of here, is it you who did it? Damn it, don't let us catch you, otherwise, you will have a hard time. I will only remind you once, otherwise all of you will die in the sandstorm. The magnificent and ancient voice came again. All of a sudden, everyone didn't care so much. Is there a formation master? Save my life. Woo, my sister is scared and wants the protection of the formation master brother. Ha, great, I am the formation master. A man laughed and said. Dad, save my life. Okay, take out what you think you can get in exchange. You are taking advantage of the situation, don't be a bitch. Hee, there is nothing to exchange, why should I save you? You can exchange or not, don't blame me if you die. Suddenly, the formation master who was originally despised and oppressed by everyone became the favorite of all the geniuses. Then, one after another formation soared into the sky. Although the formations were not the same, they were all the formations of the 9th level of the God King. After all, being able to get here shows that no genius is a waste. They are more or less the best in their own world and level. The fact is indeed as described by the magnificent voice just now. In the outer formation, the sandstorm can't attack the geniuses in it at all, and countless geniuses finally let go of their hanging hearts. Ha, it really works, I survived. Woo, thank you big brother for saving my life. Brother, I have nothing to repay you, I can only work like a cow and a horse in the next life. Why not pledge yourself to me now? He is too ugly, and his talent is not that good. The woman said slowly. I understand, the handsome and talented ones pledge themselves to me now, and the ugly ones will work like a cow and a horse in the next life. Tisk, eating and taking at the same time. But, the world of looking at faces makes me feel sick. This is just a small episode. When countless Tianjiao saw that the formation was useful, they no longer cared so much and agreed to all conditions, and these formation masters almost grinned from their mouths to the roots of their ears. I didn't expect that they would have such a day. Brother Fenchen, is there a formation master among us? Lusu said hurriedly. I am not one. Fenchen said calmly, then waved his hand, and in an instant, a formation of the Chaos God King realm rose from the ground, emitting a faint light. Brother Fenchen, awesome. On the other side, Xuanhuan and the others frowned. They all knew everything and understood that none of the 6 of them had a formation master, not only that, but they also didn't carry any formations. Damn it, if I had known earlier, I would have asked my dad to give me a formation. I didn't know the good of formations when I was young, and I mistook elixirs for treasures. Linda said hatefully. Stop talking nonsense, think of a solution quickly. Damn it, I didn't expect that one day the formation master that I, Gugu looked down on, could actually become the hope of living beings. Gugu said frustratedly. In his cognition, formation masters were just a group of turtles who could only hide in their shells. Real men didn't bother to use formations. At this moment, a teasing voice sounded in the ears of Nanyi and others. Hey, it seems that there is no formation master among you. The people who came were Lusu and others. Fenchon's formation was special and could move with him, so after performing it, Lusu couldn't wait to find Nanyi and others. And Fenchon, who was in the lead, kept flashing in his eyes when he saw Nanyi and others for the first time. These four beauties can be said to be very consistent with his aesthetics. Hey, isn't this the ant? Why, you can't wait to show off after finding a formation. Linda laughed. You, damn it. Hee, you are just talking tough now. I want to see you being swallowed to death by the sandstorm with my own eyes. Lusu said with a sinister smile. We don't need your concern. It seems that you have found a backer. That's right, ants like you can only rely on backers. Linda looked at the man in the lead and said slowly. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Benpao de la Chang. Chapter 488. You ignorant ant, do you know this person's identity? Suddenly, a boy next to Lusu cursed angrily. These words immediately attracted countless surrounding creatures. Why is that guy always twisting his mouth? He doesn't think he's handsome like this, does he? SHH, shut up, you are looking for death. I know this man. His name is Fen Tian. He comes from Luo Tianyu. He is a prodigy of the era. He also has a nickname called the God of War with a crooked mouth. I heard that he only wants to if you twist your mouth, someone will die, it's terrible. Well, the crooked-mouthed God of War suits him quite well. These are not the important points. The important point is that this guy is a genius of the era. Yes, I almost forgot to be surprised, awesome, scary. At this moment, Emperor Lin raised his eyebrows and said. What, does he have horns on his head or a tail on his back? Also, big brother, stop talking nonsense, you are really not handsome like this. Pook. Hearing these words, Mu-11 couldn't help but burst out laughing. Fen Tian did not feel angry, but showed a smile that he thought was extremely gentle and said. Let me introduce myself, my name is Fenchon, from Luo Tianyu. I don't know what to call these fairy-like women. I am happy to make friends with you. Holy shit, big brother, you long Aotian, I've already scolded you like this, how can you hold back? Emperor Lin said dumbfounded. Sorry, we don't want to be friends with you. Mu-11 said with a smile, her voice was sweet, as if a ray of wind in May was caressing people's hearts, but the words she spoke were repulsive to others thousands of miles away. As for Shui, Xuanhuan and Minjiao, they didn't bother to answer, and they didn't even want to give Fen Tian a look. But at this moment, the sandstorm was very close to Sui and others. Ignore him, what should we do about this sandstorm? Sister Sui, you must have a solution, right? Emperor Lin looked at Shui and said hopefully. Master has never taught me any formations, nor has he given me any formations. Shui shook her head and said. You don't want to be tough. At this moment, Fen Tian suddenly said. Guys, as long as you tell me your names, I can protect you. This comes easily to me. However, everyone ignored Fenchon's words, as if he was a clown, and Fenchon's originally gentle face finally turned gloomy. He was the prodigy of the era. He had never failed since his birth, and today he was actually beaten by someone. After repeated rejections, if he hadn't wanted Sui and the others to be his followers willingly, he would have taken action by now. Young master, Emperor Fenchun's son, don't really want to save them, right? A loser next to Lu Su whispered in a low voice. I don't know either, but judging from the current situation, Brother Fenchun should be interested in these women. I thought of it. At this moment, Shui Yi's eyes suddenly flashed with light, and then he slowly took out an energy body. Although we don't have a formation, but, this thing should be useful. Shui Yi looked at the energy body in his hand and said hopefully. What's this? I felt a breath that seemed to be from heaven. Emperor Lin suddenly widened his eyes. If others didn't know, how could he not know? You must know that Shui Yi directly wiped out the Lin family branch with just this thing. Damn it, Sister Sui, you still have this thing. Emperor Lin said in fear. Master gave me several at the beginning, but I forgot them, I'm sorry. After saying that, Sui threw the energy body directly into the sandstorm. A few seconds later. Boom. Suddenly, an extremely dazzling light directly illuminated the dim world, and wailing sounds came from the sandstorm, as if there were living things in the sandstorm. Immediately afterwards, a scene that stunned countless people happened. An extremely dazzling white vortex suddenly appeared. In an instant, the entire earth seemed to be shaking continuously, as if heaven's punishment was coming, and chains exuding a destructive atmosphere came out of thin air, piercing the sky and going directly into the sandstorm. Immediately, black clouds pressed down on the city, threatening to destroy it, and the whole world seemed to be slowly swallowed by the night. Boom! A chaotic divine thunder as thick as a giant dragon struck directly, and in an instant, the aura of destruction filled the entire dim world. Immediately afterwards, the second divine thunder, the third divine thunder. After an unknown amount of time passed, all the vision slowly disappeared, and the terrifying sandstorm disappeared, and the world once again returned to the world filled with dusk. That's awesome. Tugu Kyubai had never seen such a scene before, and he could only sigh, awesome. As for the geniuses, they have long lost their language function. Even though there are countless words that they want to spit out, they can only hold them in their hearts. What on earth is this? Xuanhuan asked in disbelief. I don't know what it is specifically. Sister Sui has only used it once, but that one time left a deep impression on me. Hey, Sister Sui, do you still have this thing? Emperor Lin asked with a smile. What do you want to do? Shui Yi asked suspiciously. Hey, lend me one for fun. If someone doesn't like it in the future, just throw one away. Ask my master, after all, he gave it to me. Shui Yi rolled her eyes at Lindy and said. Well, forget it, I don't have the guts. Who in the audience was most surprised at this moment was Fenchun. At this moment, he was still immersed in the explosion just now. He had a feeling that if he was in it, he would never survive for a second, half a second to be precise. However, after all, he is also a genius of the era, and he quickly recovered his mentality, but at this moment, his eyes were looking at the women even more passionately. As for Lu Su, his face was extremely pale. He was even slightly afraid of provoking these guys now. However, it was also a bit lucky. Fortunately, Shui Yi didn't throw this thing at him. Although he had life-saving things on his body, according to the rules of the road to all realms, this kind of life-saving thing can only be used once. Who knows how many snow clothes there are? So, now you think you, the god of war with a crooked mouth, are still awesome. Emperor Lin glanced at Fen Tian and said with a smile. I'm even more curious about everyone now, especially you. I really want to know what the thing this girl threw just now was. Fen Tian pointed at Shui Yi and said with a smile. No, you are really thick-skinned. On the other side, Lu Su could not continue like this. He stood beside Fen Tian and said. Brother Fenchun, don't forget, they and I. Are you teaching me how to do something? Fenchun's face immediately turned cold and he said in a bad tone. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, Met the Empress's Apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 489. No. I don't dare. Lu Su hurriedly lowered his head and said. It's not your turn to teach me what I need to do, otherwise. Fenchun's eyes flashed with a dangerous look. Suddenly, Lu Su was shocked. I know, brother Fenchun. Go away, don't follow me. Yes. After finishing speaking, Lu Su and others immediately stayed away from Fenchun. Damn guy. Lu Su's eyes flashed with a cold look, and he vowed to make Fenchun look good, even if it cost him his life. Afterwards, Fen Tian smiled at Shui Yi and others and said, everyone, I will not interfere with your hatred against Lu Su, you can do whatever you want. Oh, that's right, but I think you have a good relationship with him. Wouldn't it be unjust to abandon your little brother like this? Emperor Lin said mockingly, his tone full of contempt. Okay, stop talking nonsense and just tell me your purpose. Xuanhuan said impatiently, this Fenchun is just like a toad, it doesn't bite people but has a diarrhea. Just when Fen Tian was about to reply, a majestic voice came from the sky again. It seems that you still listen to persuasion. Congratulations on surviving and successfully passing the first test. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Don Emperor, a great emperor from the era of chaos. The reason why you are here is all because of me, and one of the 3 imperial arts you are looking for is also my inheritance, the Dusk and Dawn technique. After hearing these words, all the geniuses immediately started to get excited, because a large number of geniuses chose this ancient road in the starry sky because of this imperial technique, the Dusk and Dawn technique. No matter what your physique is, no matter what skills you practice, and no matter what avenue you master, this imperial art can be perfectly integrated. It can be said that it is an even more powerful imperial art. Damn it, it's really fake. Are we just out of luck? Great, the first step of the imperial technique is finally coming. This Dusk and Dawn technique is perfect for me. When I saw the introduction, I was excited. Emperor Daybreak, Minjiao, come on, tell us. Emperor Lin couldn't wait to ask. There is not much information, there are only a few records. I only know that this is a forerunner emperor of all heavens and worlds. He does not belong to any small world, and he is also the emperor who has been on the eternal emperor list. He is ranked 95th. It's just that he died early, and there is no record of how he died. There are also rumors that the Emperor of Dawn is an innate being born in countless dawn moments, and he also has an old enemy. According to that rumor, the Emperor of Dawn fell in the hands of this old enemy. As for who this old enemy is, there is no record. Xuanhuan Minjiao said slowly after searching carefully. Xianxing Emperor, awesome. It's just a pity that most of these great emperors from the chaotic era have fallen, and only a few of them survive to this day. Then who do you think this old enemy is, and which emperor is he? Mu11's eyes kept flashing and she said, she likes to trace these histories the most. Who knows this? I don't know how many centuries ago it happened. It has long been buried in the long river of history. I do have an idea. Xuanhuan said slowly. What? Since this great emperor is called the Dawn Emperor, it also represents the dawn hour. Who do you think is his opponent at the dawn hour? After hearing this sentence, everyone suddenly realized. Darkness, or eternal night. I think it's Yanjai. The old enemy of darkness should be light. Right. No, I think it's Dusk and Yanjai. You can combine this world and see. Shui Yi frowned and said. Sister Sui is right. Dusk buries hope, and eternal night is approaching. After a cycle, isn't it the light of morning that breaks through the eternal night, the moment of dawn? The two themselves are like darkness and light, they are eternal. Old enemy. Emperor Lin suddenly said. That is to say, the old enemy of the Dawn Emperor is most likely an innate creature born between dusk and eternal night. Okay, this is not something we can explore. There is no need to pay too much attention to it. Sometimes knowing too much is not a good thing. How many powerful creatures have died on the way to explore the truth? Shui reminded slowly, changing the topic. But I don't understand why such a great emperor sets such a test. And, doesn't he know that the thing that Sister Sui threw just now destroyed the sandstorm? Emperor Lin asked with great confusion. Who knows, since the senior didn't say anything, we don't need to explain anything. Now I'm just curious about this imperial art. After a moment, Fen Tian stared at the sky and said slowly, Senior Li Xiao, I wonder what the second test is. After hearing Fen Tian's words, rays of light continued to flicker in the sky, waves of void fluctuations continued to ripple, and then surrounded by wisps of morning light, a vague figure gradually emerged. Are you Luo Tianyu, from the Fen family? Dawn Emperor's shadow asked slowly. Yes, Senior, I am the Emperor's son of the Fen family, Fen Tian. Fen Tian said respectfully. After he finished speaking, he suddenly felt as if there was an all-seeing line of sight that penetrated directly through him. Everything about him and his secrets surfaced without reservation. The genius of the era. Not bad, really good. It's a pity. If there are no unforeseen circumstances, I will definitely choose you as my heir. What a pity, you are not the only genius of the era here. Emperor Xiaoxio's tone was full of regret and exclamation. Okay, without further ado, here comes the second test. As the words fell, in an instant, in the desert not far away in front of everyone, pyramids rose from the ground. The scales of these pyramids are almost the same, and they reflect a pale golden light under the dusk, shrouding them with a layer of mystery. As you can see, there are a total of 18 pyramids in front of you. In each pyramid, there are countless opponents or alien beasts that I have killed. Only the genius who reaches the top can accept the third. A test. Of course, don't worry, you won't really die. And after you enter, you will be isolated. Don't expect to fight as a team. After all, my inheritance cannot be given to an ant. Okay, without further ado, go in, I'll be waiting for you in the third test. After saying that, the phantom slowly disappeared. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 490. Rush. Quick, quick, I must enter the third test. In an instant, almost all the geniuses burst out with astonishing speed and rushed directly into the pyramid. Just as Sui was about to step in, a gentle voice suddenly appeared in his mind. Girl, please stay. Senior Daybreak. Shui asked in surprise, not understanding why the other party would send a message to her. Well, girl, don't be surprised. I don't mean any harm. I just have some questions I want to ask. Isn't it convenient? The voice of Emperor Breaking Dawn slowly echoed in Shui's ears. Okay, Senior, no problem. Then, Shui slowly stopped. Sui, what's wrong with you? Minjiao saw Shui who suddenly stopped and asked in confusion. You go first, I have something to deal with, don't worry about me. Shui said to everyone. Sister Sui, don't you need our help? Emperor Lin groaned. No need, just go in quickly. All right. 10 minutes later, all the geniuses had entered the pyramid, leaving only Sui alone in the desert. Just when Shui was about to ask questions, in front of her eyes, the shadow of the Emperor of Dawn appeared again, but this time it was extremely clear, and the true face of the Emperor of Dawn was completely exposed in Shui's eyes. In terms of appearance alone, it is only in the ordinary category, but the eyes of the Emperor of Dawn are the most attractive. In his eyes, it seems that you can see a ray of morning light breaking through the last darkness of the night, shrouding the earth. The darkness is gradually dispelled, and everything is finally waiting for dawn and hope. No wonder, the senior is called the Emperor of Dawn, the Emperor of Hope. Shui glanced at Emperor Xiao Xiao and said slowly in his heart. "Hello, little girl." Emperor Xiao Xiao said with an extremely gentle expression, with a special magic in his voice, which seemed to make people feel hope. "Senior, you can just call me Sui." Shui? A good name, the body of disaster, and a talent that even I can't detect. Compared to that Fenshin, you are even better. Emperor Breaking Dawn praised. "Senior, you are so complimentary. I wonder if you have any questions to ask me?" Shui asked respectfully. "The thing you threw just now, I can feel that it contains extremely majestic power of heaven, and I am very familiar with this power. It originated from the fairyland, right?" The Dawn Emperor frowned slightly and said slowly. "Senior, are you referring to this thing?" Immediately, Shui took out an identical energy body again. "I didn't expect, you actually own one. Sui, can you give me a closer look?" Immediately, Emperor Xiao Xiao calmly asked for Shui's opinion. "Senior, of course you can." After Emperor Xioxia took over this energy body, his eyes flashed with a look of disbelief. "My guess is correct. There is indeed an extremely majestic power of the immortal realm and heavenly Dao in it. It's really incredible. Sui, can I ask where you got this thing?" Dawn Emperor asked slowly, and then returned the energy ball to Shui. "Senior, to be honest, this is given to me by my master." "Who do you study under?" Emperor Breaking Dawn asked immediately. "Li Bai," Shui said lightly. After hearing these three words, Emperor Xiao Xiao instantly lost consciousness, as if he had recalled something. Then he stared at Shui in astonishment and said word by word. "Li Bai, is that the Emperor in white?" Emperor Xioxia's tone was full of incomparable solemnity. "Yes, Senior, Master is indeed called the Emperor in white." Shui nodded and said. After a long time, Emperor Xiao Xiao gradually digested the news. "I really didn't expect that I could meet the apprentice of the Emperor in white. What made me even more unexpected was that the Emperor in white would actually accept a disciple. You have to know how many evil people in the past have never entered the eyes of the Emperor in white." The Dawn Emperor sighed. "Senior, I am not the only disciple of Master. There was a senior sister before me named Nanyi. Senior sister Nanyi spent much more time with Master than I did." "Oh, what's your senior sister's physique?" Emperor Breaking Dawn asked curiously. "Mortal body, and my senior sister became emperor with a mortal body." When Shui said this, her eyes were full of pride. Becoming an emperor in a mortal body was an event that was extremely shocking and praised no matter in the era. This is why Nanyi was called emperor after becoming an emperor. The eternal empress, logically speaking, her strength is far from enough. Becoming an emperor in a mortal body is really unimaginable. You must know that in the early days of chaos, an era full of evildoers, there were very few creatures who could become emperors in mortal bodies. Luck, chance, character, patience, and other conditions were indispensable. No wonder I was accepted as a disciple by the white-robed emperor." Emperor Xiao Xiao said with a smile. Afterwards, Emperor Breaking Dawn seemed to have opened a chat box and kept asking Shui one question after another. Of course, Shui also took the trouble to explain some of the things he knew. As expected of the Emperor in white, the Ling tribe will be destroyed at will. I guess that old guy Ling is down there now and regrets it to death. Sui, thank you for being able to talk about these topics with me. To be honest, I have been holding back for a long time." Emperor Xiao Xiao said happily. "Senior, I want to ask why this world. You mean, why is it always full of dusk, right? Emperor Breaking Dawn asked slowly. Yes, Senior, this is exactly the question I want to ask. Before we fell, we signed a contract with the spirits of the Road to All Realms. We joined the Road to All Realms, and they were responsible for finding me a genius who could inherit the mantle. And the reason why I set this world in the lair of the starry sky beast is just to test your character. And the reason why this world is always full of dusk is that you might as well think about it. With your intelligence, I think you should be able to think of it. Don Knife looked at Shui and said with a smile. Dusk, dusk. Suddenly, Shui thought of the old enemy of Emperor Xiao whom he had mentioned before. Senior, is it true, that you really have an old enemy? Shui said in disbelief. You already have the answer in your heart, don't you? Emperor Xiaoxio's eyes flashed with traces of nostalgia. Senior, I heard that, you were born in countless dawn moments. I don't know whether it's true or not. The rumors are never wrong. In fact, to be more precise, I am not a creature from the era of chaos. When I was born as a spiritual being, it was in the primordial era. In order to condense the body, it took countless time, so I coming to all the heavens and realms in the age of chaos. And you two old enemies are in the same situation as me. To be more precise, we are actually one. Dusk and dawn are just like darkness and light. Although the two are old enemies, they are also inseparable existences. The Dawn Emperor said slowly.